Hi, Godly CS. Happy Sunday, everyone. So this message is for someone out there that is, you're comparing yourself to other people. You're comparing your story to other people's stories, or you're generally wondering whether you will ever catch up in life. I'm just here to let you know and to confirm to you that you will catch up and you're not as behind as the enemy may want to make you think you are. I used to be that type of person that I'll sit down and look at everybody going like 100 miles per hour. I asked myself if I would ever catch up. I felt so behind in life all of the time until I realized that, before I even realized this for myself, I used to have a lot of dreams, I would say, that would confirm very, very clearly what the message was trying to pass on to me, that look, Godly, you're not at the same pace as other people, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I used to have these dreams where everybody that I know is getting married and I was being left behind. But all of a sudden, mine came as well. Like in the dream, I could see that I would get there, but it wasn't just like at the same pace or even within the same timeline as other people. I would see dreams of where I'm sitting there waiting for somebody, and then maybe some of my friends are dating and I still have no one, and someone would speak to me in the dream that, look, Godly, it's because you're both on different paths in life. You've got different destinies, right? Your destiny and what's required in it and the type of people that God has to put in your life, it may take a long time for God to prepare them simply because maybe someone else's doesn't really need that much preparations. Or also, it could be that your one needs to come ready, needs to come prepared. Someone else, their journey may be to learn together, to learn on the journey. So there's so many different scenarios that I can give, but what I'm saying is that stop comparing your story. The way God has done things for someone else, that's not even guarantee that that's the exact way he's going to do yours. Yours may be completely different, and that's perfectly fine as well. And as well, when you look at some of the Bible stories that we read about, some of the scriptures where, in as much as it looked like Jesus did the different things very similarly, like for example, the healings, there were on a few occasions where he healed certain people very, very differently from how he had been healing everybody else. Like there's some that he would heal instantly, the typical laying on of hands and commanding the demon to flee. But there were a few occasions where even Jesus himself did things very, very different for some people. We will learn about the blind man that he healed him in two different parts, right? It wasn't an instant thing that, put his hands on the guy and the guy could see. At first he couldn't even see clearly. He had to put his hands on him a second time. I'll give you a scenario or an example. Years ago, just when I'm like, okay, I've prayed for everything that needs deliverance in my life, I feel delivered in certain areas, I'm thinking like, I'm okay. Or I'm not even feeling that I'm okay, but there are certain things that I wasn't aware of. And then maybe I would say probably about 2-3 years ago, during one of the Hallelujah challenges, I saw something that actually baffled me. We were praying and I just saw this vision of myself, and I think I've talked about this before, where the top part of my body seemed quite clear, like normal as it is, but then from the waist downwards, I had like band-aids like all over my body, like something that was dead and buried. And as we were praying, I just saw this force. I had something like almost push me like in the chest, like, but I could see a vision that someone came and hung their body, like they had their feet like almost around my chest, like someone who just jumped on me really quickly, and they started undoing the bandage, like taking the things off, like wrapping them up. It happened with so much force and very, very quickly as we were praying, and the vision disappeared. And when I sat down to kind of reflect on what I was seeing, I realized that even in life, as you're walking with God, sometimes there will be certain parts and areas of your life that are being set free, but sometimes some areas are not yet delivered. You see, it's a process. I wasn't aware that some areas still needed a lot of work, and I saw the sense of urgency, and I had this sense within me, the feeling, and from what I saw, that this was one of those occasions where the Lord Jesus Christ doesn't even have to send anybody. like you're not seeing a vision of your pastor doing something. Sometimes you see him in his own image, trying to come, like it's like, okay, I've had this situation, I'm enough of this. I am coming myself down to deliver you from this situation. Mine felt like that. It felt so urgent, like these things were taken off, and I'm like, oh wow, finally I'm receiving that total deliverance that I wasn't even aware that I needed. So I'm here to encourage someone. Don't be comparing your story to everybody else. It's not the same. It might not even happen within the same timing as other people, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. Your time will come, and when things start to happen with you, for you, you will catch up, you will overtake, because everything you're supposed to have, you will have it in this time. And even when it's looking like, oh, it's taken so many years, like, and I'm speaking from a perspective of my own life. Let's say, for example, as someone that, let's say, did a lot of things later in life than most people. I finished my education as an older person. I actually had to step back into adult education when I felt like, okay, I'd messed it up. I didn't know what I wanted to study as a child, or in my teenage years, like I'd messed everything up. But then God gave me a second chance to say, okay, go back to school, go back and do exactly what you still want to do. Or someone that got married late, someone that felt constantly behind in the game of, parenthood and stuff like that. So it does not matter where you feel behind or feel like you will catch up. You will catch up, and the most important thing with God is that when you finally catch up, when He finally blesses you with the things that you're supposed to have in your life, that feeling of feeling like, okay, you're behind or whatever you have, it will not matter anymore, because your one will also be just as beautiful. It will just be just as fulfilled. You will not feel that gap, and whilst you're waiting on Him, you shouldn't feel it anyway. So I'm encouraging you to encourage yourself that you will be where you're supposed to be, because everything that is supposed to be in your path is already prepared, and there's no forces of hell that can stop it from happening. I'll give you one more story. Years and years ago, before I was able to get my citizenship in this country, especially those are the years that I felt behind in time, like in life. Like I felt like there's absolutely no way. People around me were buying houses. I knew some people that bought houses, people that had jobs. I was just there feeling really stagnant and stuck. At one point, I sat down and started developing this type of thinking in my head. I said, Lord, I don't know what the future holds in terms of my stay in this country. I don't know what the future holds in terms of, let's say, marriage or parenthood, education, all of these different things that I was telling myself. But I'm going to tell myself that I know one thing. I pictured God having a list somewhere where He has people listed. And I said to myself that even in areas where the enemy has already ruled me out, Lord, you can rule me in. You can put me on that list. And I also looked at it like this. I said, like, there are things that are in my destiny that doesn't matter what amount of delay. It cannot stop it from coming to pass. It will come to pass. I started thinking to myself, if I'm on that list of people that are supposed to stay in this country, there's nothing that will stop me from staying. It's just a matter of when or how. I saw some of my friends with no issues whatsoever. They just wake up and say, oh, do you know what? I'm tired of this country. I'm going back home. They grab their bags, they go. The next minute you hear the letter that is endorsing their stay in the country, that is giving them the indefinite leave to remain or status in the country, the letter just comes through the post. When they themselves have uprooted themselves and went back to their home countries. You see, people that have ruled themselves, that imagine someone who's been in a church for years, and let's say for example, you've been waiting for a husband, praying for this thing. I heard of a story where this girl separated herself from this particular church and left, like, okay, for the enemy will irritate you somehow, so you go and leave the place where your blessing might be. And then one day, this sister, who wasn't really necessarily praying much about marriage or things like that, there'd been a new group of guys that had joined that particular church. And the sister was giving the testimony that she was praying one day. And she had this revelation that there were these angels coming with a beautiful bridal dress. And they gave it to her. Like, she was like, oh, that was not me. That was, I think you mean my sister. And they were like, no. This was, yes, you're right. It may have been in a place of your sister. But because we've looked everywhere, we can't find who give you instead. Because when she was praying, she's been, including you as well. You've remained settled, you've remained aligned, we'll give you. But what had happened to the sister as well, I think not only has she uprooted herself from the church, from the place where her blessing was supposedly supposed to meet her, I think she had a massive backsliding and probably left the things of God or gone to God knows what at a point of her breakthrough, because what she didn't see is that in as much as you've sowed and sowed and sowed and sowed and you feel like nothing will ever happen, just as it's about to happen, you get up and leave, because the enemy will frustrate you the hardest just before your breakthrough. You could lose something that, like, don't lose hope just at the age of breakthrough, right? So, like, going back to what I was saying about myself, the minute I said that to myself, everything settled. I said, Lord, I know you have a list. I know that as your child, I'm on that list. I'm just waiting for my name to be called. Lo and behold, I started getting the things I was believing God for. Because I believe that, yeah, even if there is a list, I believe the people that are supposed to be on that list are on it, and they will get what they're on that list for. Anyone that is not on that list, if you like, go hang, regardless of what you do, you can't make it. Because if it's not in your path, it's just not in your path. But because as a child of God, I know that I've prayed and he said, like, when you ask me, I will give you. I knew. And I told myself I'm on that list. It's just my turn coming up, and it will come. And I'll get what I'm supposed to get. And I did get the things I was praying for. God started, bringing them to pass. So I'm saying to you, don't lose hope. Your one will come. It doesn't matter if some people go there before you. When yours come, you will just enjoy it just as beautifully as those that went before you. You will just be just as fulfilled as they are. You will never feel like, oh, because this happened to me late, it makes me less. No, you still get to accomplish so much that the same as those that went before you, and you still catch up. So anyways, I don't want to make this very long. Have a lovely Sunday, and I'll speak to you next time. Bye.